And sync the audio. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kallipolis Radio. Kallipolis Radio AM, specifically. Episode 1, even more specifically. So, what this is, if you are wondering, is I would see this as something like a combination of a blog and a written piece. I don't want to say it's a video essay, because it's not really. I don't know if I really have any particular idea that I'm going to try and get across to you. It's just something sort of strange that I had the idea of filming, so I hope you're along for the ride. Anyway, what I'm doing today is, today's topic is going to be kind of religious in nature, I suppose. I've decided to go on a little pilgrimage this weekend. So I am filming this introduction first, and then I'll be hopping in my car, taking you guys with me, and I'm going to go on a little trip to Lac St. Anne, which is a lake not far from my hometown of Edmonton, Alberta. Now, at this town, I don't know exactly the full backstory. There's some spiritual significance to this lake. It was referred to as God's Lake by a number of native tribes. And then there was a Catholic mission established there along with a shrine. And the Pope actually visited it, I believe in the 70s or 80s or something, when the Pope came to Alberta. So, myself being nominally Catholic, although in reality, not really, I've decided to make a little pilgrimage out there today because I have a free weekend, and I'm going to film it and kind of just talk about my thoughts about religion. So that's what you're in for today. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around while I go get my cup of coffee and then talk to you a little bit more. Sync the audio. All right, where was I? So, I'm going on a pilgrimage today. Interestingly enough, I get asked a lot on specifically TikTok live streams. I haven't encountered it anywhere else so far, but there seems to be a great deal of TikTok devoted to, as far as I can tell, preaching in some sense, or Christ talk, or Christian talk. A lot of people with Jesus and crosses in their names pop on by some of the things I'm doing, which is usually recording audiobooks, and they say, Jesus loves you and Jesus forgives you, and remember that he died for your sins. And I always usually say, oh, thank you, you as well. Jesus loves you too. Have a good day. It's not really what we're talking about. I have no problem with people trying to spread their religion. I know a lot of people do. I've changed greatly on that. I was raised in a family that I wouldn't call particularly religious. My dad certainly wasn't. Or still is. He's alive. But he's an atheist, former Catholic. And my mom is, I don't know, hard to explain. Nothing really. Kind of spiritual, I suppose. So I grew up in a household where God and church wasn't even really mentioned at all. And the first instance I had of God as a concept probably came from the picture book of Greek mythology that I had when I was young. And so that was my first encounter with God in any form, really, was the Greek version of it. I know, surprise, surprise. But I know many people that I've met have negative experiences with especially Catholic school and, church growing up, and they feel like they've been indoctrinated or oppressed, or that something's been taken from them, some sort of guilt or shame has been added to them, and so they kind of, the biggest impediment to the Christian faith will always be the Christian faithful, as they say, or as I say, if no one else has said that. But I was, in some sense, I suppose, lucky enough to not grow up with any of that bias. And then I became very interested in the concept of God and religion and faith as I grew older, because I think there is there is a part of every single human being that sort of, in some sense, has a religious impulse or an impulse to this divine something. Call it what you want, sort of a longing after God, a longing for solace or comfort or just really like pattern-seeking behavior, I suppose, if you want to get very scientific about it. I think that exists in every single human being. I don't think anyone would really deny that. And so that expressed itself in me later on when I started becoming very interested in religion, and I started going to churches and just seeing what was going on and what they were doing and why, and asking questions. I remember setting up a couple of different just like sit-down sessions with some different priests and just saying, tell me what you guys do. What do you do here? What's going on? Tell me. And then I found like I never particularly got any satisfactory answers from anybody, so I just turned to books and I started reading, and I don't know. I became very interested in the different aspects of faith. And then when I was 22 or 23, something like that, I can't remember exactly, COVID was going on. So, there's no way I was 22 or 23. I was probably 25. I could check. I'm not going to. It was sometime during COVID. I was baptized into the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, if you're not familiar. Do I consider myself Catholic? No. I have an interesting sort of non-believing relationship with Christianity. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I like the churches. I like the ceremony. I like the history. I like the texts. I like the order. I like the structure. Do I believe everything they say? Definitely not. So I don't know what that makes me. I would say the closest I've ever seen to someone, the closest explanation I've ever got, how do I even phrase this? There's one philosopher/thinker who, more than anyone else, when I read his work, I go, yes, that is exactly what I believe. It's amazing to see this in writing as opposed to just in here anymore. And that's Ralph Waldo Emerson. And to some extent, Spinoza as well. So the two of them probably describe better than anything else my beliefs when it comes to the world. We're all just fingers on the hand that is the universe, and we're all living through one soul. In my opinion, the universe is in some sense, or all of us, I think humans collectively are God sundered into a bunch of pieces. Because I always wonder, it's like, where does this philosophical authority come for positing anything, for deciding what you're going to do in life, for deciding on the question of ethics? And for so many centuries and so many millennia, we always said, we appeal to the authority of God. Well, I think we appeal to the authority of ourselves. And so in that same sense, we are God now that Nietzsche has said God is dead in metaphorical terms. But God lives again in us. We are the dying and the resurrecting God. That's what humanity is. That's what humanity does. We are the collective authority for what is true and right and good and beautiful. We are God collectively. Don't get it into your head that you're God by himself or herself. We're God collectively. What we think is true, as long as we all think it. I know, you can poke 1,000 holes in it. Go ahead. I'm still going to believe it. But the idea to do what I'm doing today crossed my mind yesterday, and I decided I wanted to do it. So you're coming with me on a pilgrimage. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get there. It's November. It's late November. It's cold. There's no snow yet, but nobody goes to the lakes anymore. So I'm probably just going to be by myself. There's a shrine there, apparently. I haven't really looked at any pictures of it. But it's about a 80-kilometer drive from home. So I'm going to have about probably 2 cups of coffee and then set out on my journey. So I'd hope you all come along for the ride. So I'm in the car, ready to go.
I've got my many sheets of plywood in the back, obviously. Necessity. But I brought a couple books. I brought my bag, my tripod, a coat, because I think it might be windy coming off the lake. But that's about it. Weirdly enough, I don't know why, but I feel anxious for some reason, which I have absolutely no reason to feel. There's no snow, the roads are not dangerous. I'm not going anywhere to do anything or interact with anyone. But still, for some reason, I don't know if you guys ever have that feeling of like, occasionally I feel like I'm supposed to go somewhere, and then I go there, and then something strange happens, and then I go, I wonder why the universe called me to this place. And that's kind of the feeling I'm getting from today, is that wherever I'm going, I'm supposed to be there today at the particular time that I'll show up. I don't know why, but it's the way it feels. So it's about an hour drive-ish from where I am. Here in the small town now of Alberta Beach. I've never been here before. I'm going to try and find a bathroom and a place to buy coffee, and then I will continue towards the shrine. So, I don't know, it's a really quaint town. I like it a lot. It's quite nice so far. I'm going to go have a look at the beach. It's deserted, obviously, because it's probably freezing cold, but yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go have a look around. I've never been here before, so I'm going to look around the town. So, come hang out. Let's go look around. See why people like this lake. I can also see why people don't visit it in late November in Alberta, in Canada. But it's very peaceful, if I'm being honest. I think this is my preferred way of visiting the lake. This is nice. There's literally nobody else out here right now. I can't even see another person at the moment. I am completely just by myself here. And I think that's very beautiful to me. Because if this was the middle of the summer, this whole beach would be packed. Like, there's a beautiful beach on both sides of me. This is a really nice boat launch. And I'm sure on a weekend in the summer, this would be packed. And there's no snow on the ground. The lake is mostly frozen. And there's nobody here at all. And I get to just see the lake stretch off into the distance completely just for me. All right, so I bought a coffee from this little place over here called Beachside Grind. I'm gonna just kind of go walk around for a bit, and then I'll make my way to the shrine on the other side of the lake. So I found a very neat little art slash what's called a metaphysical store. I bought a little necklace for someone for a gift, and then I bought a little set of mala beads, so the Buddhist prayer beads. That's the store right there. Very nice little place. Earthshine Metaphysical and Art Center. And then I found a little general store, and I bought a pair of socks. Now I'm going to go... they told me about this other place that's this old converted church that got turned into a little store, so I'm going to go look at that. And then I am going to go head to the little shrine. So when I was talking to the... When I talked to the lady at the metaphysical store, I mentioned that I was going to the shrine. And then she told me some of the legends about it, but she says she's seen people walk into the lake there with crutches and walk out completely healed. So apparently the water of this lake is a healing water, which it's frozen over, so I don't know if I can get in there now, but maybe I'll have to try giving myself hypothermia today. We'll see. But it'll be interesting to see nonetheless, so. I made it. There's a statue here that a lot of people have left rosaries on. Hung on both sides. So many. And yeah, the Pope spoke there. Apparently it was actually in like 2022. It was way earlier than I thought. I don't know why I thought it was so long ago, but I was wrong. So I don't know exactly what part is the shrine and what part is just accoutrement of the shrine, but I'm standing on a little promontory that leans out into the lake. There's also the Stations of the Cross back there, if you want to pray those. And I believe the Pope stood somewhere around here. Evidently so did some pigeons. So, I guess let's go get healed by the magic water. Something I find somewhat beautiful is just the sheer amount of footprints all over the beach. There's footprints covering every single bit of this, human footprints too. And I mean, one of the things that's so interesting is these were obviously made when it was warmer, and they've now frozen in place. So they'll be here for the entire winter. But you know, some sort of metaphor or something about human footprints being frozen in sand and then thawing out once the summer comes, you know, etc., something deep. There's also a lot of dog prints. I don't believe, yeah. So the lake is frozen to the extent I don't think I'll be getting any healing baptism today. Unfortunately, but yeah, solid. It's quite a nice beach though. So there's a little, this may be the shrine or something, I'm not sure, but there is a leaving of offerings by human visitors here. A lot of rosaries, once again. A bag of salt and vinegar chips, a prayer book, a very old, very wet prayer book by the looks of it, hair ties, sunglasses, bracelets, candles, a sock. I think that's a jar of jam. I think that's the second jar of jam. And I think that is a weed pipe down there. Yep, definitely is. There's also a lot of graffiti on here, such as Kathy. But I don't know exactly what this is. This maybe is the shrine or maybe something, but it's the end of the Stations of the Cross, so I feel like it's got to be something. What it is, I don't know. But it looks like people have left little offerings inside every single one of the stations. So just some little bits and pieces inside every one. That one looks like it has painted rocks in it. Most of them seem to just have flowers though. But it's also quite funny. There's some sort of like gymnastics thing over there, which just seems odd to me to be next door to this. All right, well, I've been here. I visited the shrine. I went to the lake. I looked around. I prayed a bit in front of one of the little statues they had there. And then as I was leaving, I ran into a gentleman coming out of the church. So the church office just over there. His name was Kevin. Told me all about the history and size of the parish. I guess the priest here serves like 5 or 6 different churches. So very small congregations out here in the countryside. And the priest is from... So I learned some interesting things. So the priest is from India. And he was sent to northern Saskatchewan, where there was like nobody. They're right out of India, from India to northern Saskatchewan, where he learned to speak Cree, and he's just been appointed the bishop of like northern Manitoba or something. So I guess he's leaving this parish right away to go be bishop of a bunch of the woods in like North Manitoba, Saskatchewan. So that was interesting. It's a really beautiful little site. And yeah, like I said in one of the other videos, Pope Francis was here 3 years ago-ish. So it was neat. I think it was I'd say it was worth the trip. This is probably about to cut back to me in Kallipolis Radio's studio, giving you my final thoughts on my whole little trip of today. So let's probably cut to that right now, or just more footage of me driving. Honestly, who knows what I'm going to do on the way back. We'll see. Guess you'll find out right now.
Try to make sure you're alright. I hate to know you feel alone. I wish I could go back in time, try to change the wrong and make it right. I hate to know the good is gone. I hate to know the good is gone. Wish I could call you last night, try to make sure you're alright. I hate to know you feel alone. I wish I could go back in time, try to change the wrong and make it right. I hate to know the good is gone. I hate to know the good is gone. Good is gone. Good is gone. Good is gone. Wish I could call
And
you last night. Try to make sure you're...
There we go. Second one's better. Audio is synced. Let's do it one more time. There we go. Perfect. Third time's the charm. So, I'm back, as you can tell. I made it. Why did I do that? If I'm being honest, I couldn't really tell you. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, it was something new. I've never done anything like that before. Just kind of jumped in the car and driven off somewhere that was far away. Granted, it was only like an hour there. I hung around for, I don't know, probably total 45 minutes to an hour. I walked on the beach a little bit. I got a coffee. I stopped in 2 little stores. The place was dead. It was almost deserted, the whole town. Anyway, it's what it felt like. Granted, it's a random Saturday. It's kind of a touristy town, was the impression I got. Every single person I talked to, as in every single storekeeper that I ran into, was like, you know where, yeah, we're like a lot busier in the summer. And I said, yeah, I know. And I think a lot of them looked at me as in, what is this guy doing here? Which is fair. I don't know. I thought it was fun. I got to talk to that guy, Kevin, outside of the church or the shrine. He seemed like a nice guy. Overall, I'm glad I went. It was very, very peaceful, very meditative. And if anything, I mean, I find myself agreeing with Ralph Waldo Emerson's statement that prayer is basically just meditation. Granted, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to that effect. I'm glad I went. I prayed in front of a little shrine for a little bit. I took a rosary with me just because, I felt like it was appropriate, and I ended up leaving it at the shrine. So it was nice. It was fun. I'm glad I did it. There's something, for some reason, I don't know why I was so anxious to go, but it felt freeing. I'm a person who lives a lot by routines and doesn't really go out of the way to do stuff like that. So to do that felt very, I guess I could just do this. You know that thing where it's like, I do have free will. I could just at any moment up and leave and go do this. It's weird to just kind of like come to grips with the fact that you have that ability to just go out and do stuff and to sort of, demonstrate it to yourself. It makes me think of this point from Dostoevsky where, and again, he never says this deliberately or directly, but it's the idea that the only way you could ever prove that you were free or prove that you had freedom would be to act against your own self-interest. Because if you act for your own self-interest, well, acting in your own self-interest just means you're acting at the whim of your inherent desires. So the only way to truly prove that you are actually free is to act contrary to even your own internal desires, to act contrary to human nature. Because then you're not subject to anything. You're suffering and inflicting harm on yourself for absolutely no reason whatsoever, just to prove that you're free because you can. Even though there's absolutely nothing telling you should, you do it because it makes you free. And to an extent, that's a little bit of how I felt today. There was no reason to go out and do this. There was no point to go do that. So why did I? I don't know. I just felt like I was supposed to. All in all, I would do that again. It was very meditative. It was very peaceful on the beach. I like it. I liked the idea of going to a beach town in the winter and there was just nobody there. And it was just the town as it actually exists. I like seeing things in a way that you're not supposed to see them, I like seeing a tourist town when no one's there. I like seeing a beach in the winter. I like seeing this shrine built for hundreds of people, built to accommodate a mass of hundreds of people where the Pope spoke, and there was nobody there. There was one guy named Kevin who was doing some stuff at the church. And it's like, I love seeing things when you're not meant to see them, or when they're not prepared to be seen. Like, that to me is, you just get to see every aspect of something. And you get to see an aspect of something that most people don't get to see. And you get to see things just how they actually are without all the dressing up. I like seeing things in their natural state. Can you tell I was a philosophy major? But that's my reflection on whatever it was I did today. All in all, I would say it was a good time. I enjoyed it. Shout out to the little general store I stopped at. It was beautiful. I love that. You know what? Alberta Beach, beautiful little town. So quaint. Nice history, some old buildings, general stores. Everyone I talked to was nice and friendly. They looked at me a little weird because, I was doing a weird thing. But, yeah, everyone was nice. I like it. I should go back there. When the town's actually, supposed to be visited. But there'll be time. So, for now, I don't know. Go meditate. Go walk into a random church. Pray there. Go drive to a town you've never been to before and just walk around. Ask some random person, hey, anything interesting in this town? I asked 2 or 3 people that. I felt like the main character from some video game where you walk into a town and you literally just ask people what's going on there. I talked to 3 different shopkeepers and literally said, what should I go look at if I'm just walking up and down this street? What is there? One of them was nothing really. The other 2 were well, just go to the stores, I guess. Go have a beer. I don't know. It was fun. It was weird. It was bizarre. I enjoyed it. I think that's kind of going to be the through line of what Kallipolis AM radio is just strange things in the little periphery, and seeing things not the way you're supposed to, but kind of catching them off guard. And so, with that, I'll conclude the first episode of Kallipolis AM Radio, or Kallipolis Radio AM, either or. Take your pick. Episode 1, The Shrine at Lac Sainte Anne Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to submerge myself in the healing waters, so perhaps I'll have to go back for the actual pilgrimage. Apparently, there is a yearly pilgrimage, and if you live in Alberta, you know what? I would recommend, or if you live in maybe Saskatchewan, BC, maybe it feels more impactful if you spend longer getting there than the hour I did. But if you haven't been there before, I think you should go. It's fun. The lake feels like a spiritual place. It has that connotation behind it. It's very still, very peaceful, very... I understand why So apparently the native tradition behind this place is that this was called God's Lake for a long time before the Catholic mission showed up and was established there. And it's been known as like a source of healing and things like that for a long time. And you could feel you can feel when there's sort of a collective human belief in something in a place. And you can feel that at Lac St. Anne, at least at the mission and in the town too. You can definitely tell there is a spiritual strength to the place. It's one of those little corners of the earth that's just fun to see. But that's all from me. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Rylan with Kallipolis Radio. I'll see you in the next one. Cue some music or something, Rylan. You know, the editing self. Play something.